Well, hello. I am here with Dr. Sam, who is a dear friend, and we are here to talk about shame to shine. And the whole idea of this is you can move past an experience of shame or of pain and actually use that energy for your own empowerment. And so Dr. Sam is going to talk us through a very personal experience of how that has worked. So, are you willing to share your let's start with kind of your shame experience of what you want to talk about today.
Oh my goodness. So I had shame kind of like got balled up for me. If you have never heard my story before, my I had parental divorce and then I ended up with biracial wounds, low self-value, alcohol addiction, and I left God. And so shame is kind of interwoven in there because of shame of my makeup, like DNA makeup, and shame of parents being together versus not together. Part of the divorce is I felt like I ended up in two different social classes. So it was like I had to kind of balance those two. Alcohol addiction is like a whole nother realm. Like I had alcoholism, which at that time was the step below being an alcoholic. I was not drinking frou-frou drinks. I was drinking like gin and vodka and like hard liquors. And leaving God left a shame mark on myself as well because though I never took off the cross and I didn't stop believing, I wasn't actively involved. And when I began re-entering that space and asking God for his authentic self, I realized I was missing out, but also it was so special to me because I saw how I was actually being protected because during that time frame, I went to two different colleges and I went and studied abroad and I was safe. I like keep in mind I was drinking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, being drunk, hanging out with friends, your friends can turn on you, the people you're dating can turn on you. Being in a foreign country, you could imagine what would happen if things turned on you. But I was saved in the aspect of being safe in all those spaces. And so for me, shame has intertwined itself with you're not good enough or they won't accept you. Another fun one is why do you think you're better than other people? You're arrogant about it. And so it's for myself, it's very interwoven in different ways. So that's the little small shell of abyss of shame on my behalf.
It's so relatable where, yeah, it's like just all tangled into one and those beliefs of not really being worthy and looking at the external reasons why you're not good enough or not as deserving as peers or all those things that can eat away at us
Exactly.
internally. And
Yes.
and we sometimes we try to overcome it by like outworking other people, or alcohol obviously is one to kind of numb temporarily that feeling and be able to still let loose with friends. So
Yes.
very, very relatable. What happened where did you have a rock bottom moment, or did you have a moment of being like, this is not me?
Okay, so I have to kind of preface that with the fact that before I realized what had happened, I didn't know that anything was wrong. So I actually felt normal. I felt very empowered. I felt very in control. I didn't think anything was wrong. And the turning point was when I found out I had alcoholism, I was like, I was at a party drinking, and I was like, I think I have an alcohol problem.
Mhm.
And we looked it up online, and that's how I found out. But the major change was that was like that starting peak where it's like, huh, I'd like something better. And I'd kind of been around people and they had like more faith than I did. And I was like, they seem rather happy. Like that's something I'd like to pull too. And then I met someone and I realized they were treating me with so much respect. It actually caused like a massive reflection on how it was lacking where I was actually thinking it was still present.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, I did hit rock bottom. I was told, people don't like you, go back to where you came from. I was just made to feel like after the party, I didn't have these friends anymore. But when I found this person that I wanted to be with, and he started treating me with such respect, and I saw honesty and loyalty, like everything just started to like turn around and the mirror started to refract and start to shatter for myself. But it was never a complete loneliness, lost everything, drunkenness on the floor sort of situation. I was met with love head on, and it caused a rupture in the lifestyle that I had.
Mm, mm. What was that experience like of having that realization to then starting to make changes with your friend group and with your actions and drinking, etc.?
Yeah, so the way that sort of transpired is I would when he and I started talking, he had expectations, and one of them was you can't drink anymore. So for 4 years, I had been drinking and partying, maybe even 5 years, and I just stopped. Just cold turkey. I was like, okay, you're more important than drinking. And then I started to reflect on why was I drinking and the people that I was with. And little by little, I started to see these realities. And that's when I started to actually kind of come closer to God. This is my point in my journey where I said, God, show me the real you and not the one that everybody else knows. And so I feel with that question, I was presented with a lot of information to help me self-reflect. And part of it is all these people you called friends, where are they? Why were they there? Why were you really drinking? Why were you not coming to me? And I spent 10 years questioning these things and looking at these things. And I had my spiritual awakening, the dark night of the soul, like the reality shattered. And I went to a whole phase where I was like, I can't stand this life. Why are people even wishing me happy birthday on social media? Y'all don't talk to me any other time of the year. Commercialism is horrible. Like, I mean, everything was falling to the ground for myself.
Yeah.
And, when I reached out, I was like, hey, you Facebook group or whatever, can you lead me into like, if I'm doing it right? They're like, oh, yeah, great. You're doing great. No one like helped me. So it was between like the one friend and this guy
Yeah.
and praying and reflecting on myself that I actually came to this point where I said, okay, I'm starting to get it. And
Mm,
so for me, that's how it transpired from, hey, something's broken to what's happened to now what can I be and who can I be?
mm, mm. Well, that is that is definitely a inspiring story of there is more that's possible. And now a question that we've talked about is this idea of like, I don't like necessarily who I was at that time, and I'm ashamed of the decisions I made, and I would like to cover it up, or I would like to kind of like, how do I get rid of that part of me? And we've talked about that there's actually a different approach. And so talk to that audience member who's like, how do I get rid of the shame around how I was confused and the decisions that I made because of that?
Okay, so first step is you're going to reject it and you're just going to think that you can cut it out of yourself. The truth is that you can't cut it out of yourself. You actually are going to have to embrace that about
Mm,
yourself. A recent analogy that I used is you're walking into a cave and you sit in this cave. For me, I coined this cave loss of self. Lost, stuck, broken, unloved, without your light after a negative event, life transition, or PTSD experience. You sit there, it's dark, you really want the light, and one day you turn around and say, I want more, and you go to walk out. But there are mirrors on the way out.
mm,
And each mirror is a reflection of yourself in a way that you might not necessarily want to be identified.
mm,
But what will happen is when you exit, if you face that mirror and you become scared because you might be that person, you'll probably go back in the cave.
mm.
So that's that denial stage. But what has to happen is you have to accept it, embrace it, because that actually is your path back out.
Yeah.
That's the path back to who you are. A lot of people are scared that, and speaking to this person, you may be scared that if I lose my identity as an alcoholic or a party girl, who am I after that? And I'll tell you, I have a conscious remembrance of forgiving or in working through a certain issue. And I was questioning at the beginning, what happens to me after I let go of this? I've attached myself to it for so long. And what I found within seconds is that I was empty. I was emptied and I had more space to enter love into myself.
Mm,
And that's the truth of what's going to happen is that when you meet this version of you don't like, you're rediscovering yourself because guess what? You can never necessarily go back to that person.
mm,
You're going to merge those people. You're going to rediscover who you are, who you were made to be because that past is a path.
mhm,
And when you exit, you have rediscovered your authentic self because you are emptied of everything that you held in this cave of shame and refilled with the light and love that you've been lacking, you've been looking for, and you also had to begin with.
mm,
And so that's the best analogy I can explain on how to go from feeling that shame to how to get past it. The core of it is acceptance,
mm.
self-acceptance.
And for that, where that instinct of I want to cut that part out because yes, I would like to heal, but then like how do I cut that part out later? And you're saying no, you accept that part. Is there, what is the value of that part once you've accepted yourself?
This is the beauty of it. The value of that part is the quantum connection that entangles you to the world.
Hmm.
So everyone looks at the details, and I like to say the devil is in the details because you say, I went to this store and this, and this happened to
Mhm.
make your store unique. But if you remove those details, you're going to have emotions underlying, and those emotions are the things that connect you.
Mm.
That's where you can share love because if you're sharing emotion, empathy, and love, you're going to get compassion. So, example, if you have wisdom of a specific topic, whatever shame it is that you're dealing with, and then you add love to that, you're going to get compassion, the ability to make space for someone who needs your advice, who needs your struggle, who needs to know they're not alone so that they can get through.
Mhm.
So many people believe that and I feel like it's also taught that we have to keep up this facade that we have no problems. We aren't struggling. We're perfect. And half of us are crying in the background, half of us are escaping into a phone, and then the other part that don't want to pretend they're part of the half, they're like drinking their problems away. But once we come to the point and we embrace that, you use that to share with other people that need it. You create connection, and your connection to that other person is the quantum entanglement because their response to you is what ripples out because it changes their internal being as well.
Mm. Gorgeous. So for you, that loss of self shame, what has that turned into in your life?
That has turned into, let's see, 19 literary works. It has
Ooh.
turned into a full business. It has turned into awards. It has turned into a point where people can see themselves and be okay having a fault
Mm,
and find a way to look for new, for the legacy, for their impact in the world. So for me, accepting what I've done, knowing I can't do anything besides apologize to those that maybe I can reach out to, and apologize to myself and speak to my inner child and say, you know what, I did the best with what I could when I could, but
mm,
now I know better, so I'm going to do better. So
mhm,
let's heal.
mhm,
I mean, I feel like I'm able to make an impact on other people
mhm.
and I feel like I've been able to make an impact. So when I open the door for someone, that's still a residue of what my loss of self story has actually brought for me.
Mm. You went from loss of self to now this legacy, this ripple effect of accepting and healing yourself in and kind of teaching others language, ways to relate to themselves, ways to relate to others, where people can heal in relationship and heal internally to be able to like be the person of their dreams, live the life of their
Absolutely.
dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think everyone also has a purpose for being on Earth. You come with a key that unlocks a door that no one else can unlock. And I want people to find that in themselves, find the meaning and the purpose in their life,
Mhm.
so that you don't feel like you're going day to day just drudging through, but you find those doors that you are supposed to open and you open them with unapologetic like essence, and
Yeah.
you flush the world with whatever gift that you were given to bring here. I think
Cool.
that's so important and people miss that so much.
Mm. Well, this is such a fantastic story. Thank you for sharing with us. And for people who are like, I love this, I want to sign up for your newsletter, I want to follow you, what can they expect to find and to feel when engaging with you in your community?
Well, what I would like people to find is them, I want them to find hope.
Yeah.
I want to build hope. I want to allow you to build connection. I want you to see how you can actually move in the world in a greater purpose than you may have already believed. And I reach you through words and I might reach through videos. And, the more that this grows, who knows, maybe I'll have a community out where it's like a private, exclusive community also. But I'm looking for people to be authentic enough with themselves to be brave enough to embrace that authenticity.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Dr. Sam.
Thank
I've
you.
I have so enjoyed this. Please check out Dr. Sam's social. We're going to have all the links where it's real easy to find. Check out more of her story. Any last words for the audience?
Yes, I would. I would like to let you know that this information can be applied to life, love, and business.
Mm.
And if you so choose to branch out into those areas, your interaction and healing with yourself actually can ripple into employees, into the ethics that you keep, spiritual sustainability, the legacy that you're leaving, the global impact. And that's how you, as a CEO or as someone in a relationship or just walking down the street, can really actually change the world. And for me, it's about the sharing of the agape love, the selfless love to make the biggest impact. And anybody can do that in any industry.
There you go. Mic drop from Dr. Sam. Thank you so much. Look forward to connecting with you on the other side. Cheers,
Absolutely.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye.